Hi everyone, welcome to today's English lesson. It's going to be your final lesson on your stories for today. So congratulations on all the hard work you've done so far for those. Today we're going to be looking at revising and redrafting what it is that you've done so far. Obviously, if there's some of you that haven't quite finished your stories, I would encourage you finish that off today so that you're ready to move on to our next unit in tomorrow's work. All right, so as I said in my video on Friday, we are going to introduce a little magpie corner to today, which is basically where I've collected some of my favourite sentences that you guys have sent me through. All right, so remember, magpies are birds that see shiny things they like and they take them and they make them their own. And that's what we do in our English, perhaps when we're taking bits from the book we're reading or other people's suggestions. We take the shiny bits and we add them into what we want to do ourselves. So if, by the way, if your sentence isn't on this list, apologies. It's probably that I've recorded this video before you've sent it through. Okay, but I've loved reading everything that's been sent. So first one is from Ethan, who wrote, although she was told not to, Florida both chose to still obsess over celebrities, which wasn't much of a surprise, but also planned on going to LA. I love this sentence, and I know Ethan was really proud of it too, because it starts with we've got a complex sentence, we've got a conjunction at the beginning, and then we've got a lovely relative clause in the middle as well, and it's just quite an action-packed sentence. Great stuff. Then we've got, when under stress, both Eva and Florida turned to food as their saviour and the stimulant. Starving, Florida and Eva ate every crumb of food and every drop of liquid that was detectable. That was from Bisma. Again, we had two different I-space sentence starters. I think that was maybe a bit of a challenge for Bisma. We had a conjunction and then an ing word. And also the vocabulary was incredible there. Okay, really liked the words like detectable and stimulant and saviour. Continuing with the theme of vocabulary, Ella T sent in, she had flaxen, mellifluous and tender hair. Her lips were like a vermilion pond of poppies, and her delicate porcelain, golden brown dough skin would shimmer even on a cold, mucky day. Wow, I mean, just reading it out loud, it sounds incredible. Again, such wow words in terms of our vocabulary, but also I really liked the simile in there, like a vermilion pond of poppies. I can really picture that, so that was gorge. Well done. And then at the end here, lovely example of embedded clause from Neil, who wrote, who was in fact 12 years old but arguably looked like an adult of 20. Again, that in fact, it just, I think the narrative language and the narrative flow of that sentence is really, really powerful. Okay, so well done, thank you. Perhaps you guys, if you were listening, maybe there's a little sentence or part of a sentence you want to magpie for your own writing. So, as I mentioned, today is all about revising and redrafting our work. Well, what does that actually mean? Can you come up with a definition of revising and redrafting? Perhaps you can see some stuff behind me that helps as well. Well, revising and redrafting are similar in some ways. They are doing something again. We've got our re and our ing at the end. However, they're different stages. So revising is when we take a piece of work that we've done and we make corrections or alterations. So this could be correcting spellings, missing punctuation, taking away punctuation that is in the wrong place, or grammar. If we've written something and it doesn't make sense because of the tense or the flow of the sentence, that's when we edit those things. So it's more of a correcting side of things. Whereas redrafting is something we often do with a longer piece of writing, and it's where we take a section of what we've done and we rewrite it in a different way. Now, the idea is we rewrite it and it becomes more powerful. So whether that is you're taking some of your vocabulary and you're up-leveling it, a bit like Ella had done in her writing. It might be that you're changing the structure of your sentences. So you notice lots and lots of sentences start with she, he, the, or whatever, and you're adding in some I space. Or it could be writing from a different point of view. So we've done that a little bit before, I think, where you've written kind of an alternative side of your story or a side of a section from perhaps the villain in your story or whatever. So that's what we're going to look at today. Now, as I mentioned, no, I'm getting myself in a muddle. I'm going to mention now that I've also recorded another video for you, which links to this, to help you with your first task. So your first task, again, I know it might be a little bit lonely doing it on your own rather than in pairs like we'd normally do, but you are going to edit your work by reading it out loud and think about, right, where have I gone wrong? It might be that you go, oh no, this isn't how you spell maybe. Or it might be, reading this out loud now, does it make sense? Things like that. Okay, so I have done a video to show you what this looks like. These sheets behind me are in a separate video to show you me doing an example of revising, which is your task 1, and then an example of me doing the redrafting, which is task 2. Okay, so revising is where I've made corrections. Redrafting is where I've got 2 sentences and I've written them again, that little section, to greatly improve them. Okay, so there's some examples of how you might do that here. What I'd suggest is pause me, go and watch that other video. You can always then come back, have a look and think about the things that you're going to include in your redrafting. But yeah, it might be either that if you've messaged me your story, I can give you a paragraph to upscale, or it might be that you go, actually, no, I'm just going to choose my own. I'm going to choose a section that I'm going to do. So yeah, go and have a look at that other video I've put on, look at how I do it, and then come back and I'll show you some of your extension activities. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully you've had a little go at revising and redrafting. As always, we'd love to see some examples, or if you're not quite sure how you can improve, drop me a message and I will help you out. Okay, we can always come along to one of our drop-in sessions. What I'd like you to do, once you've spent, I mean, it doesn't have to be very long, perhaps somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes. If you've spent about that time doing a bit of editing and redrafting, then there are some optional extensions for you. Okay, so first one is create a blurb for your story. Remember, a blurb is what goes on the back of your book, okay? And the idea is you want to write something that's going to entice readers in to read your story. You don't want to give away too much of your plot, because otherwise they won't bother picking it up. But you want to give them some interesting nuggets. Like in Cosmic, we were told that Liam told some fibs, nearly stole a Porsche, went to a theme park and sort of by accident ended up in space. Now, it doesn't tell us everything. There's some big holes there, but also some very exciting nuggets that make me think this is the book I want to read. So that's your first task. Second task, I think we've done this a little bit before, make a front cover for your book, okay? Think about if this, again, if I was turning this into a real life book that was going to hit the shelves and be sold, then what would I put on the front of it? You're going to need the title of your story, the author, that's you, the illustrator, that'll also be you, and also a picture that kind of brings your story to life. Perhaps it's your main character as they float through space or whatever it might be, okay? Number 3 is imagine you're pitching a sequel. So I want you to imagine you have gone to a publishing company and you're going, right, you really, 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 really need to pay me to write this story, okay? You're going to want to sell this book. It's going to sell millions. What would you include in your sequel to make sure it's really exciting and worth a company investing in? Perhaps would your character go back to space for another little trip? Would they team up with another sidekick and get up to something equally mischievous? Think about what you'd include in your sequel. All right. And then finally, I've just got here cast roles for a film version of your story. So a bit like Harry Potter, it started as a book, it got turned into a film. Can you think about if you were turning your story into a book, who would you cast as your main roles? Who would play your main character? Who would play if there is a sidekick or something like that? All right. And I'd love to know anything you produce, send it our way. We would absolutely love to see them. Okay. Have a brilliant day, guys. Good luck with the revising and redrafting. And yeah, I will see you all really soon. Bye-bye.